When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
You're muted, Dave.
I did it again. I did that last show as well. Thank you, Havish. I forgot that I hardware muted my mic to bloody open a bottle of Dr. Pepper. So here we are. Okay, so welcome to this week's episode of the Meta Show, where I am now not muted. Where we're going to talk all things.
Screens are frozen now on the Meta Show.
No, they're not. That's just you. Where we're going to talk all things FCing. Well, mostly all things FCing, because you see a lot of FCs on talk shows, but they're not normally talking about actually FCing. They're talking about some fight where they dunked Horde normally. So we're going to talk about that. Joining me today, we have Havish, who everybody here should know. If you don't, crawl out from under that rock. He's probably gotten you killed before. And we have Osroni Darksky from Snuff. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves a bit. We'll start with Osroni, because, as I said, everybody should know Havish. And we'll go from there. Osroni, you're muted, don't forget.
Hey, so when I started out in EVE, I ended up joining Pandemic Horde for a while as a newer player, and ended up just getting into like carriers and caps for ratting. Ended up just dropping them all the time on everyone that came around the space, and we hit a point where our guy running our caps and all that stuff just wanted to quit playing the game, and so they came to me and said, hey, you're the idiot that's been doing this the most. You probably know more. Do you want to start actually FCing stuff? So I said, why not? Ended up playing there for a while. Went to join Skill Yourself when they were out in Drone Lands. After that disbanded, went over to Trigger Happy, and from Trigger Happy went over to Snuff.
Sweet. So quite a varied experience there. You've probably killed me and Havish several times.
Probably killed a lot of people at least once.
Yeah. Havish.
Well, where do we begin? Long time FC in the Imperium since 2013. What are we now? That's 11 years now, judging by the maths that we can barely do, because coming from England and where I come from,
Oof.
yeah, we didn't have too good a test score. Yeah, up north. So yeah, did a bit of SCing back in FA, Fatal Ascension. Went over to CO2 under the Gigex. Don't lose your hands, guys, careful. Quickly ran away from that situation and went back into HKU under Apple Pear there, and worked my way up slowly but surely. Annoyed a few people by after the capsule change. So I remember the days when a capsule would cost 140 mil when you had a lot of skill points. But it allowed Whelp Squad to form, because we could go blow some things up and we didn't care if we died, because now your pods didn't need to be replaced each time. So yeah, after that, I mean, FCing throughout Vietnam, Casino War before that, and so a bit of a quiet time, maybe before a big war, we never know. And yeah, we're sat here now, we've just been doing a bit of FC training, getting things ready for a potential conflict.
So I'm not going to go on about my stuff, because nobody's interested in me. So, Osroni, let's talk about A little bit about some of your achievements, some of the things you think, your proudest moments of FCing, before we go on to the teachy stuff.
All right, yeah. So I remember I started off doing a lot of capital and super cap stuff back when Horde was like 2017, very small. You'd form caps and you'd have like 15 people with a dreadnought in the whole alliance, like because they just weren't pushing anybody to get into them. And so we spent a lot of our time trying to build that up. It came up to the first time we ever set up our own dread bomb. I don't know if I have a BR here to link, but we ended up mid and dreads dropping on fraternity, fragging a Titan, a pair of supers, and getting all our dreads out of our dread bomb. And that was just one of the cool, been FCN for 2 months, set up that kind of dunk and get a clean extract. Going from there, we did the S-B7 Super Brawl with Horde and Black Legion, ... at the time with Elo, going up against GOTG up in Branch and Declan. And then one of the last big ones that I did was managing to help Pro God Legend get fax nerfed finally by doing the FCing for the L4X Dread Bomb with the PanFam Supers and Titans against 300 Dreads from Pro God.
Havish.
What do you need me to say, Dave, on this one?
Well, just some of your proudest moments. I can think of one because I was
I'm going to
there.
go straight to the proudest moment. I've got to. So there was this time in Vietnam, and about December time, I was getting a bit frustrated at home. We're all stuck at home. We're all stuck in the
31st.
lockdowns, and there's not much you can do. And I'm stuck abroad, can't go back to see my family. So I'm just poking around, and I get a little message, and someone says, "Go poke a jammer." So anyway, we form up about 60 bombers, start smashing these jammers around M2 tac, and 6-7 hours later, the biggest Titan massacre in EVE history occurred because the jammers got refed, and I think that's the culmination of all the FCing I did, and from that point onwards, it was put the wind in my sails and chill almost until the war was over. But don't forget the formation of Whelp Squad. That's got to be something good. I think we got the first capital kill on a Keep Star, and we did it in mowers, and that was against Horde in the Keep Star in GME. Got a video of that one, and then we started doing it with Tristans on Keep Stars, and you got to bear in mind the difficulty of that, because one PDS volley would kill your Tristan fleet, and we were still killing the caps at 0. So that was always a good bit of fun.
Shame PDSs don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they've been changed. I'm thankful, a little bit thankful.
Yeah, apparently Whelp Squad. Oh, it's Lorenzo. So yeah, Whelp Squad also killed the first Revenant that Goons killed. Apparently.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, I would say my proudest moment, but Havish covered it because I was one of the other FCs that took out the jammers, and then also one of the FCs that started M2 with Asher. So that one's mine as well.
I do got to give a big shout out to Win It though, because the only reason we were able to pull that one off is they had refed a Keep Star. I think it was in Oh Shit. And yeah, that name is pretty relevant considering what happened afterwards.
Yeah. So what I really want to cover today is pretty much how FCing's changed and the way we teach new FCs has changed. Because in my experience in Goons, that has changed astronomically in the last 6 years. Is that Heineken? No, you're drinking Beck's. Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, that has changed astronomically in Goons, at least in the last 6-7 years. So how has it changed in other groups? Is there any you're in Snuff now, but you experienced several other groups. So what's your experience with how groups teach their FCs? Because you got to replace the FCs when they get burnt out. Sort of thing.
I mean, it's been a while for me, right? Going from Snuff isn't really a big, it's not a big learning spot. By the time you get there, you pretty well know the game and know what you're doing, right? And the thing with me is that goes back to Trigger Happy. We had probably 3-4 people leading everything. It wasn't a big learning spot. Skill yourself wasn't either. Like, so it's probably been since like 2018 for me in Horde with like teaching new FCs or bringing people up and learning. But you can see the effects in the other groups, watching other people's BRs and seeing a lot of the, people, it feels like people used to run a lot more cheap doctrines. People used to just ram caracals into each other or something that you don't see as much anymore in the big groups.
It's all very expensive now, which I like because I got really bored of T1 stuff, like really bored.
I'd say I like the fights more, but when if you're a new person trying to get started out, it's really nice when you can
it's
just
definitely
ram 300 people's caracals, ram 300 caracals into each other, and you whelp your whole fleet, and you're like, oh, we spent like 3 bill.
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult. When I first started, Feroxes were all the rage. Everything was Ferox on Ferox violence. Like, nothing else really, just, hey, everybody ram some Feroxes into each other. So that was really easy for new people to get into, because who cares if a Ferox fleet is lost? Oh no, 250 Feroxes. What to do? Oh wait, just build some more. But yeah, nowadays it's gotten a lot more difficult because you can't really stick a day one person into, well, we are now, but CFIs and stuff like that, and expect them to hit the ground running with that, because they're not really a mash it into the other fleet and hope for the best doctrine. So Havish, what, I know you do a lot of the teaching stuff to do with teaching FCs and GSF, a lot more than I do. So what would you say on that matter?
Well, I'd say for the new guys that are getting started, when they apply to like a skirmish commander role, a lower level in a FCing department, they need to get back seating, do a bit of help for FCs and tactical commanders, as we call them, mid-level guys. We've got help them out, do specific roles in the fleet, and they get coached by the FC at the time to try and help them progress. There's also objectives that we have for the skirmish commanders, where we say literally try not to die. Doesn't matter if you do, as long as you're learning from it. Make sure you're getting the right sort of things in place. Get the eyes where you need them. Go hit your objectives, like ref a few targets in a certain area, work together with other commanders so we have follow-up as well, and pick an appropriate doctrine. And recently we just upgraded where we said, all right, these are pretty nice. This is a nice doctrine. It's got good DPS. It's got good flexibility. It can kite as well and get out of trouble. And it's not it's cheap enough to get away with as well, and can contend with heavier doctrines. And I'll let everyone know it's the ENI, the Secure Navy issue. But with its railguns, 515 or so DPS with close range, 300 at long range, 120k, 2500 meters per second. I can definitely say it's a nice little doctrine for FCs to learn with. It's like the new Jackdaw doctrine, where you would throw people in before, because it could shoot at range, it could tackle if you're refitted. It was a jack of all trades, and this is sort of that same entry level. Just, yeah, it's good fun when you let them go out there. But you just got to remember, and you've got to align the realization that when someone goes there, you go into the enemy's home, they're going to come at you with at least 2 doctrine levels higher in power. So if you take cruisers, expect marauders or battleships, something like that brought after you, because in the end, you're trying to kill their crabs. You're trying to kill soft stuff, and they're defending it. So expect trouble and expect hard contact, and be able to get out of there and get out of dodge and get a few kills while you're running away. And that's, yeah, where you begin. As you move up to a tactical commander, the mid operations type stuff, it means you've joined probably SIGs and squads. Classic phrase there, most people would know. They're special interest groups or squads that do a bit of fun. It's not so strategic, as it were, but it's people grouping together to do something like go whaling, take down capitals on the regular. Once you get your experience, your name gets known, you start getting some BRs linked in, you're showing you're learning, you're showing game mechanics. It's you'll get picked, and you'll start getting promotions. And as you tick the boxes, we're starting to track things now with people, so we know what people have done, and then we can say, hey, Do you know how to probe? I mean, skirmish commanders, when they come in, some of them don't know how to probe. We can show them how. We've set classes up now. We've got Sonria. He is fantastic. And I think Toaster as well. He's director of the FC's subcaps. They're doing a good job as well, just helping with the coaching, keeping things running in the Gooniversity. And Gooniversity now covers like sort of everything. So you've got your rep swarm in there to help with Logi anchors and how Logi function. And there's the booster training as well goes in there. So it's a one-stop shop where you can learn a bit of everything and everybody can talk and chat and pass their experiences along too.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest advice I give to people is backseat. Because at least in GSF, maybe different in other groups, the way you get noticed is to be noticed by the fleet commanders, like the people like us. And that's how you go up. A lot of people say it's favoritism, where it's actually you just get to know the people and they trust you. Because it's all about trust. Because if you're going to give somebody, 50 billion ISK worth of battleships, you want to know they're not going to, brick wall it. So yeah. What? Well, Osroni, you do low sec stuff now. So what would you say is the main challenges in low sec about FCing in general?
Just like in general, or for like new people getting started up?
Bit of both, really.
I mean, everyone always knows the biggest challenge to FCing in low sec is the fact that snuffed out exists, right? If you like, but that's also low sec is the big upside of places like low sec getting started out FCing even with snuff around is no bubbles, right? You take your whole fleet around, you're gonna get pointed, you're gonna lose some ships or something, but your fleet doesn't get bubbled and all 300 of you go down, or however many you have in fleet. You have 50 guys in fleet. How many can you realistically keep points on before you just leave? There's NPC stations everywhere. You can dock up, go home. You can bail out the high sec. It's a lot more forgiving, right? A lot lower stakes, but you mess something up, it's a lot easier to get out of there, reset, and say we lost 10 dudes, we didn't lose 100.
Yeah, just don't go in the northwest.
Yeah, just don't go or the southeast, deep water or any of that,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the things that holds people up is mostly just mentality. That you have all these safe exit points. You just got to go in there and take a risk and say, if I messed up, if we start feeding, I can always bail out, but I gave it a shot.
Something I find a lot with people that are saying they want to FC, I get a lot of oh, I'm afraid, what if I get people killed? A lot of people divering, where the people that succeed are the people that just go fuck it.
And I used to be like that, and then eventually I just ended up getting a couple people's supers, a couple people's titans killed, and they were ours. And I was like, oh, at this point, what do I really care if you lost your battleship?
Yeah. You get to a point where whatever you're taking out is not going to be the most expensive thing you've ever lost. I mean, for me, the most expensive ship I've lost on a fleet was 2 Vendettas. So, I mean, in this day and age, I ain't going to top that unless I lose an entire capital fleet.
I've got to chime in. There was no reason for you to be off tether.
If I'm expecting my fleet to be off tether, I'm not going to sit there like a coward in my faction capital ship on tether. If they're putting their ships at risk, I did not buy the Vendetta to be a hanger ornament. It was bought to be used, and I used it.
It reminds me of a good battle. Docky Faction Titans, Docky Faction Titans.
Exactly, I'm not NC. So yeah, a lot of people are afraid, but I would say the best way to do it is go out and do it. You learn from your mistakes. So whelping a fleet is actually better than winning a fight. If you win a fight, it means either you were better than the other FC or they made a mistake. If you're better than them, you're not going to learn from them because you've wiped the floor with them. If you make a mistake and lose your fleet, that's where you're going to learn. Because you can look at how you lost the fleet, look at why you lost the fleet, and work on it from there. But that brings me on to another question. We'll start with Osroni as well. The biggest loss you've had whilst FC?
I mean, biggest number of losses, I think was probably still a win for us, which would have been S-B7 when we were Super Bowling. But then biggest like actual fight loss was back in Geminate in Horde. We were got in a dread brawl against goons and snuff. Some scout told me that they scouted like 20 more goon dreads mitting in range, and I was like, all right, well, hey, 50-50, let's take the fight, let's see what we get. We all jump in, and then the scout comes back in and says, oh, sorry, that was supposed to be a 200, not 20. So we ended up feeding like 300-400 bill worth of caps, and it was just a loss. So that was just like, that was probably the big one at the end, where I just, after that point, I was like, if I just fed 400 bill next time, I really can't top that. So
well, actually, yeah, my biggest loss actually is that dread bomb on the Forza, where I dropped dreads on a hostile fort, and they had more, and that was like a trillion-esque. But Havish, what about you? You've probably lost quite a few caps doing some crazy shit.
I'm trying to have a good think. What is the biggest loss? I think we're talking
Your
Vietnam. Yeah, actually, no joke. That is the biggest loss. I don't think I've lost over 100 bill in one contact. And most of those I was ordered to stay and hold the ground. So I think it's Vietnam in the China time zone, and we're outnumbered 3-1, 4-1, and it was just reship, get your moom in, take the bridge, meet the FC, it's tie-dye, you land, you just follow broadcasts, and you're fighting outnumbered 4-1, and we just kept the fight going and going and going and going. And as long as you kept one fleet in range and the other 3 fleets out of range of weapons, yeah, you could fight basically 1-1 instead of 4 against 1, and we just kept going until the eye hub repaired in tie-dye. So, a couple of 100 odd bill lost there.
That is one thing I did love about the Vietnam War, is you didn't have to worry about how much you would lose, because the objective was always more important. Whereas like the hostiles, they could have won the objective, but if they lost like 2 trill doing it, what, like, have they won really? But with us, the holding the objective was more important. So yeah, the biggest thing there really is don't care about what you lose. You may get chewed out occasionally by someone if you do something bad. But I mean, if
yeah,
getting chewed out,
that's another thing with even like the more experienced groups, is you mess something up, like you're gonna get chewed out, you're gonna get someone giving you crap for it, right? But like, it's very unlikely you're gonna get kicked out of the alliance or blacklisted for anything. Like, you just take your crap and you learn for it from next time, and you say, I see where that mistake was.
The people that have been kicked out of alliances and stuff for that sort of thing, it's not the thing they did, it's what they've done after. Big one I can remember is Pittsburgh, who decided to kick off after getting told that he fucked up. And he kicked off big time, and then got told to sling his hook. So that's the biggest thing. No matter how much you lose, and generally in goons nowadays as well, from my experience, is you don't get chewed out. It's more of a disappointed in you thing. Whereas back in the day, in the era of John being a bit more aggressive and all that, you would get full on chewed out, but nobody's gonna have a go at you over some pixels. It will just be a you fucked up, don't do it again. Or if you do it again, then you ain't doing that again. So yeah. Oh, it's because I'm leaning away from my mic. My mic this time is on my desk, and when I lean back in my chair, I'm further away from my mic. So I just need to move closer to my desk. Funny, Lorenzo. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought with that now.
Oh, that makes a difference, Dave.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So, Havish, anything you have to say to anyone who's been thinking, I kind of want to FC, but I'm scared?
Well, first of all, you need to join the Imperium, because that's where the best FCs reside. Secondly, Karma Fleet is recruiting, but more importantly, ASCII is also recruiting our corp. We haven't been kicked yet. After you've done that, you go to your 6 and squad section on your auth page on goonfleet.com, and you apply to skirmish commanders, and you start sending pings and take Cormorinos out there, and go shoot some Thannies, and go lose some Iskies with all your toonies. I've got to get all this in, guys. And we've got Brave in the Imperium now, so you can give your 07s as well, and everybody's like, you can't say anything about it now. So, yeah, all you do, get in, join up, get your ping out, go on that peacetime roam, and start shooting stuff.
Yeah, and nowadays it's more and more. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, nowadays it's more and more. Well, it's easier to get to places with Turner and Potvin and Drifter Holes and what have you. So yeah, let's go on to a topic. As Roni said, apparently Lowsec has been heating up. What has been going on in Lowsec?
Oh, we're in the next iteration of the anti-snuff coalition once again.
Oh,
where
lovely.
Everyone under the sun decides to blue up and take a shot at taking down snuff. And so right now we got Shadow Cartel reforming back up. They've been working with Deepwater Hooligans coming through Turner up to the northwest. Synergy of Steel and their coalition up in from Pure Blind Fade area are getting in on it, coming to Lowsec. Slow Children at Play from Cloud Ring getting in on it. So we've been having, fights at night, fighting 4-1, 5-1 outnumbered, 3-4 different fleets coming after us, and been pretty obviously like it's different fighting outnumbered 4-1 when our one are sitting in like high grade amulet battleships that cost 2 bill and 7 vax on grid, right? But still, it gets rough when you got 5-1 numbers disadvantage.
We know all about that.
Yeah. Snuff is essentially the goons of Lowsec in a way, just a bit more competent. That's an odd thing though. Kicking someone out of Lowsec isn't really possible. Like,
you can't kick them out, but you can take away Athenor's moon mining. New Metanox moon drills are coming out, right? People want to take their R64s and they want to punch Snuff in the nose and say we can take these moons, we can keep our own income, and they just think that that's not possible.
Down in Lowsec?
I believe you can put them down in Lowsec, yeah.
They needed
the sky hooks are needed for the soft things. But the passive moon drills you can still drop in Lowsec as far as I'm aware. They just mine 40% of the amount of moon goo. But who in Lowsec wants to be out mining?
Well, yeah. If you want to mine, this isn't advice, by the way, folks. If you want to mine, get out in a Lowsec group, like, yeah. So sounds like there'd be some entertaining fights to third party on, or just.
We'll see. There's a lot of groups right now, like Shadow Cartel are forming up 250 people in a fleet, but they're taking out comps like Polarized Taloses and Bashing Pocos and don't really want to give it a fight.
So they're achieving all of nothing. So yeah, that is
what's triggered them, to be quite honest.
Yeah, what did you guys do to piss them off?
I think everyone, or I mean, if you're in Goons out in Null, you're not really around the area, but anyone sitting around Lowsec is just, if you undock, Snuff's coming after you, right? You get a Cormorant going through a gate, there's going to be a Blop sitting on the other side of a gate with 7 Seabows waiting to catch your T1 destroyer because you exist, right? So everybody, this happens in waves all the time. It's like every 6 months. This happened a while ago too with a bunch of faction warfare groups from all 4 faction warfares tried to fight Snuff out in Old Man Star, and we were hitting someone's Fortizar that they had dropped, and they form up 800 people and just try to win. It always ends up falling apart because there's so many groups involved. They always just end up infighting, not agreeing with what they want to do, and
It sounds like a group that came to Delve once.
yeah, it's about the same thing on a smaller scale. You get
Same people.
8 different alliances together, all trying to say, let's go after goons, and then who should be in charge? I think we should take this doctrine. I think we should take that doctrine. I don't agree that we should drop caps. Eventually you just fall apart to infighting after a few months,
and then they're doing
the cycle
about
repeats.
8 different fleets. Yeah.
Yeah.
That don't work. Me personally, I've never recently had an issue with Snuff that isn't them solving a problem for me. Because I don't go in low sec. So like occasionally Snuff assist with defending some high sec learning structures that we have in low sec, because picking on high sec newbies when they're just trying to learn is a bit slack. And then of course we all know about Abazan, where my enemy is friend. Yeah, so low sec's heating up. Hopefully we can talk about some of that soon, if by the sounds of it your enemies actually grow a pair. Havish, what's new in your world other than, you got any plans for nullsec stuff? You're like the
Nullsec
shenanigans
plans?
master.
Oh man, you know what we don't talk about on the meta show, man? We don't talk about future plans. We don't talk about where I'm going to deploy Whelp Squad. I just send a ping and announce it 3 weeks in advance so the hostiles can pre-move, and then a ping we're going somewhere else instead.
Yeah. One thing, going back to the training FCs, I forgot to mention. Our skirmish commanders have done amazingly in Impass, from what I see. So for those that don't know, we told GSF skirmish commanders to essentially go terrorize Impass. Yeah, go terrorize Impass. Attack the renters, attack the structures, make their life difficult. Then a few days ago, Horde sent a ping saying they are turning Impass into a military staging ground and no longer a rental region, which screw renters, and will be nationalizing a lot of the stuff, and told everybody to unanchor their structures, which I find quite interesting. That they've essentially just gone, fuck it, we're not going to defend our renters, we're going to tell them to sod off somewhere else. When I find the link to that,
That's what happens when your renters are like 7 regions over, right?
Well, the big thing here is this isn't like our fleet commanders or tactical commanders. This isn't me and Havish or Altarari. This is Billy. No offense to anyone here that's been doing it. Billy No Name that has just started FCing, that's gone out and shot a structure or gone out to get a fight, and they're putting enough pressure on Horde because I'm not going to correct them when they're making their mistakes, but how do you hold that space? Come on. That they're having to pull their renters out of that region, which I think is amazing and hilarious that a big alliance like Horde is getting threatened and pushed out of a region by skirmish commanders. Now, originally wasn't going to shit on Horde in this because we were going to have a Horde person on the show, but he's not here, so we're going to shit on Horde a bit.
I can tell you from, I would say recent times, but this is like 4 years ago now. Best time in nullsec recently was 4 years ago when World War, whatever, the Delve War was going on, right?
Yeah,
Best time in nullsec was the Delve War. If you explicitly were not in Delve. If you were anywhere else in the game, it was the best time in nullsec because all of Horde and Frat and all those people, Tappy, putting all their big strat FCs down in Delve, you could go anywhere you want, go poke something and get a fight and get a response that wasn't 900 hacks being rammed down your throat by someone who'd been doing it for 5 years, right? You could just go out, poke something, and see what you get against someone who is like a skirmish FC who hasn't done it for years.
Yeah. Sorry for the scrolling noise. I forgot to turn the scroll thing off on my mouse that allows it to smoothly scroll. Because Mike is on desk. But I found it now. That was a great time because me and Havish spent a lot of time outside of Delve as well. Like a lot of time within it in Catch and areas like that, just burning their space because they were, especially Legacy, they were all on the we're gonna move into Delve whilst the war is still going on. So they stopped paying attention to Esoteria, Catch, and Impass, whatever the hell.
Bethabalus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Omist.
So
Well, they weren't
got
paying
bad.
attention to
Yeah.
their own space like Horde wasn't paying attention to drone lands. You know, you'd
Exactly.
have people that would still go out mining in Urorqual, and you can now go fight this guy, and they ping and form up, and they've got like 50 people in fleet, not
Because all their people in
300.
T5Z, which was the greatest time as well. Because if you want to fight, just jump into T5Z. Like, it was great. So yeah, Horde's ping. They are changing what they want to use Impass for and setting it to a base of operations for further push against the Imperium in Faith. Oh no, a floodplain. They're reversing everyone's Impass rent for June, so that's probably quite a hefty bit of risk.
Better than what they used to do when they had to move the renters.
Yeah. And ask you to unanchor any moons they have in the region. Since they have different plans for Impasse moons. If you have Pokos or Skyhooks, they're going to buy them. So if anybody wants to, sell some Pokos or Skyhooks and Impasse, go for it.
Oh, this looks like an obvious thing now. This is Gobbins trying to run his automated moon mining across
They're
all the rental
probably
regions.
interested in buying Citadels as well. If you wish to continue to rent in Impasse, I don't know why you would with it being under attack. It benefits the ADMs, but they apparently they think there's safer regions in Impasse for renting and ratting, but they're not going to give them any moons. So basically, they're telling all their renters to run and hide. Now, my opinion on this, folks, is, and I've only ever been in Goons, but I've of course had characters as well. My opinion on this is, why rent? Any group, any corp could join one of the Imperium alliances, the neutral states, and live rent-free, like we do in Goblin's Head, and not have to worry about, will my alliance defend? You could come and join, in it. You could join the Imperium, and we will defend you if you're living in one of the regions which is designated as defendable. We don't go on our floodplains like Catch, funny that, and such, and go, we're going to put you here, but we will not defend you. So, who cares? And on their Care Bears, why do they care? Who cares? Goons do not have high taxes. Member corps pay 7% tax. And they are at their leisure to set their corp tax to 7%. So, why that is, and I have seen the tax ledger for the second largest corp in this alliance, that is a hell of a lot cheaper than rent for the use of an entire region, use of as many moons as you like, because that's a different thing. So, why rent? Why have to pay a landlord? I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I could probably find them, but why have to pay a landlord, $5 bill a month just because you've got an R64? How we don't even pay that much tax on our R64s when we mine them. So, to any renters watching, if you would like to see the better land, contact your nearest Goon Diplo or Hyper Viper today. Especially if you're in Gemini.
I mean, traditionally, you'd be renting somewhere where Horde lives now, out in drones, because he wanted the space in the middle of nowhere with no stations around, right? But they took that all for themselves at this point, so
they're sticking all their renters in their floodplains to keep their ADMs up whilst making them sacrificial lambs. That don't sit well with me. For instance, when the Imperium was attacked, we withdrew all of our alliances to the fortress region the second we realized we couldn't hold those regions. We didn't go, you go sit out there and keep those ADMs up while we sit in the middle and be happy as anything. You know, it's just general keep your people safe. I don't get how people can be, you know. So, the difference, paying for rent, you're paying for the system that you're in. So, 7 Tech K, where I hang out, top of my head, it's got, I think, 1 R64. So I'll be paying more for that. If it can have more havens, I'll be paying more for that. I'm sure with the new updates, you'll be paying more dependent on what upgrades you want in the sovereignty hub. So all different factors. So, paying member corp tax. As a member of Goonswarm, for instance, your member corp pays tax on whatever ratting it does, or stuff like that. And the way that works is, say I go and rat 1 billion ISK. ASCII's tax is 15%. There's a reason for that. That's because we have a whole load of corp programs that we have to pay for. So ASCII's tax is 15%. 15% of my ratting goes to the corp. It's a negligible amount. It's fucking tiny. Then, 7% of that 15%, like half of that 15% goes to the Alliance. That then goes to your SRP. It goes to your university stuff. It goes to paying your FCs that defend you. Yes, FCs get paid. Not much, but we get paid. Because half the time we're spending more time FCing than we are making ISK. You don't have to PAP. PAP requirements are set per corporation, dependent on how active they want people. Yeah, it gets you all the bonuses of being in Goons. It gets you low refining tax, low PI tax, stuff like that. Renting, you just get told to sit there, pay your rent, we may defend you. In Goonswarm, that is all provided for you. If you can't afford to put down your own structures, guess what? We have them. You know? And that's the same for any non-renting alliance. Everything is prepared for you. Snuffed out would be a bit different because they're in low sec, but I can imagine there's a method there that is similar because Snuff don't rent systems.
Oh, sure we do. We have renters.
Do you? Well, there you go. Wow.
Yeah, we rent out Tama, the most wonderful system in Eve.
But no, so like it's like in real life. You pay your tax for the stuff you get. I'd rather pay a negligible amount from everybody than pay one large amount. And the other bonus is if you're renting, you still have to pay that rent, no matter what. If a war kicks off and your members are not ratting, they are not mining, you do not have to pay that tax because there ain't no tax to pay. And yeah, in Goons, you make a profit from SRP, especially if you're in a corp that does SRP, which most of our corps do their own corp SRP. You make a killing. So, as I said, any renters, contact your nearest Goon Diplo or Hyper Viper today. So yeah, that's just kind of funny. Go on, Havish.
What I see with the renting is, with the Imperium, you're joining an organization where you have other activities you can do. We have wormhole activities that you can make blue stuff for day tripping. Sometimes that's corp runs, sometimes it can be done by the Alliance. You can go do incursions, that's all run by the Imperium. We've got an incursions group that do things like that. We even have faction warfare group to go make money in faction warfare if you want to do that. where you're paying your risk is to run this stuff so you can do anything whenever you feel like it, and you don't have to make a big change and put everything in your cargo hold and risk everything to go change your game style. You can do it all in Goons, and it's marginally more expensive in what you pay for, but in the end, because you can do all your manufacturing, you can do your like Moongoo reactions, everything's dirt cheap to do overall, and you have everything in one bucket. Works out far cheaper and more economical to be in the Imperium than to be renting, where you're stuck with one system with not everything available.
If anyone that does rent would like to give the renting side of the discussion, let me know, and we can do a show or something on that, because that would be an interesting thing. The virtues of renting against not renting. But yeah. So Goons have a lot of shared space. Well, the Imperium, I should say. We have a lot of space. As an Imperium member, you can do anything you want in any of our space. However, we do not have this system is off limits to you because you're not renting that system. You know? If I want to go do industry in Harrigan Seoul, I don't know why I want to, but there you go. Just an example. That's another Imperium Alliance space. I can. You know, if I want to go do some Imperial basis, I can. There's no you're not allowed in this system crap, which there isn't. There's no you own this system shit. Everybody can go everywhere, which means you can do whatever you want, whenever you like, wherever you like.
I think you've almost got a song there, Dave.
Whatever you want. So, yeah, there's a lot more benefits again for not renting than renting.
I can tell you also the disadvantage of renting, having destroyed some renter space in our time with Whelp Squad. We saw what was happening when we kicked people out. We were aware that renters had to pay a deposit to have the structure anchored, which was the value of the structure they were anchoring. And when it was destroyed, you had to replace it. And you also had to pay for your structures that you're anchoring as a housing income tax type thing. Like you pay your council tax because you got a 3-bedroom house. You had to pay a tax anyway because you had a structure there in your rental space. So it was just expensive. And then you're expected to defend it yourself from the initial ref. So you didn't get to avoid doing fleets because when we came knocking on your door, you had to defend that iHub or Horde just kicked you out. And it was, I believe, NC as well in where we went near Umon.
Yeah.
And
So
Lady Scarlet was very strict.
It's very you're on your own. I was attacking some frat mentors the other day, and frat took about half hour to turn up. By that time, I'd already ref their jump bridge and almost ref their Astra house. So, what do? Don't rent. Seriously, try it. Look into it, folks. If you rent, look into it. If you know someone that rents, look into it. Or you go live in a low sec and be friends with Snuff. Just be friends with them. Don't.
We have some wonderful low sec for rent.
Exactly. And also, if you join the Imperium, you get to live rent-free in Horde's mind, which I think is better. Anyone disagree?
I feel we're very taxing on the Horde members' minds.
Yeah.
I enjoy living rent-free in Gobbins' mind.
It is great. I don't have Brisk's image, but he showed an image on the Met Show the other day. He does love to ping a lot lately, but Gobbins does. So that's pretty much all we have time for. We've got 7 minutes left, so we'll do some final thoughts. Start with Osroni.
Final thoughts? Oh, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how this low sec stuff all heats up, you know, but we're not expecting a whole lot right now.
It sounds like a lot of chest beating.
Bombers cloaking and bashing stuff. Hit stuff with a Talos, dock up if anything comes. Been driving off 40-man fleets with 3 people.
Yeah, that sounds like they're saying they're going to do stuff, and then going, this is actually really difficult.
I think on the FC, one note for the FC thing, there's a big advantage a lot of people coming up to FC now if they want to get into like skirmish FCing have, and it's what we call the number of FCs that got ruined by the Munin meta that came up and learned FCing during the Munin meta that got to live in that scenario where you could, no matter what you were doing, ping for Munins, fly Munins. Your fleet was so fast you couldn't feed more than like 10% of it without just burning out of bubbles, right? A lot of people that grew up in that have a big mentality afraid of committal doctrines if they didn't play before that or they didn't start after that new people coming up now don't have anymore. You know.
See, I always hated Munins. I would much rather have a Serb fleet, and I would have ran a Serb fleet against literally anything than run a Munin.
Yeah, but you had a
Your mic muted mid-sentence. It's
Yeah.
home defense Munins, bash something Munins. It was just, and the people that grew up FCing in that have I think a poor mentality about doctrines that can't do everything the Munin could, that have to commit to things. And if you're coming up and learning now, at least you don't have that mental weight holding you back.
Yeah, there's no Swiss Army knife anymore, which I think is good. Havish.
Yeah, closing thoughts on how EVA's progressing right now. I really am looking forward to the changes that have just been made in this patch that are going to start rolling out. I think the difference in the where the sites are going to spawn, although I've not seen it fully, but I can only read the little bits and drips they've given here and there. I'm hoping that does shake things up a little bit. What I've found in EVE at the moment is when you go roaming this hostile space, everything is docked up as soon as you enter system. It's all bots. We report them every time, and we're getting the committal of like, oh, 3 months later, the banned, and we're talking about hundreds here. I'm thinking with this shake-up, it's going to help make a difference and make the game more fun because we'll be able to catch things and kill things, and that's what skirmish commanders want. They want to kill stuff. FCs want to kill stuff. Even if it's a Rata, an Ishtar is good enough. It's 300 or 400 mil when they've got a bit of shiny stuff in it, and we want to get kill mails. Where does it go from there?
Nervous, I think.
Yeah. Where does it go up from there? I think everything at the moment, it's hard contact. It's straight to battleships. It's a battleship meta right now, and it's a very high bar to enter from an FC standpoint. And there's got to be ways to beat it. Problem is, people are willing to field the paladins. Is it a bad thing or is it a good thing? I mean, it's a good thing that people are willing to field paladins because that means there's big shiny kill mails on the grid, and that means faxes are coming in on the grid. It also means if the strategy is to turtle everything forwards and have like a frontline trench warfare where you're always in fact support range of each other and you won't commit over that region gate, yeah, it's going to be always Helldunk or blue balls, which is, it's always coming back to Helldunk or blue balls. FCs have egos that are fragile, very, very fragile. They don't like to get losses on their FCing kill board, as it were. And they'll only commit when it's 90% in their favor, maybe 100% in their favor. There's very few major risk takers in the game. It's preset. And what I'm looking for in FCs is people willing to take that risk, because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and they can't win every fight, and they can't be everywhere. So the more FCs we've got taking fleets out, if we have 100 small fleets, 20 dudes, it's better than 3 or 4 fleets of 250 dudes, because they can't respond to everything. And if we're just lighting fires everywhere, stuff's going to burn down. And that's my thoughts on what these skyhooks and all the moon mining, the AFK moon mining is going to bring. AFK moon mining, it means there will be stuff that isn't going to get responded to when it gets reffed. It's going to die. It's going to get looted. It's going to drive more in the economy. And that's good for EVE in general as well. More risk getting made, more risk transfer. More people are getting more value for money out of it. That's all there is to it. Yeah. More fun, more kills, more people playing.
Sweet. So yeah, that's all we got time for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Hope it was good. Sorry about the leaning away from my mic in the middle, but I have a habit of forgetting stuff. There will be a show next week. Sorry about last week. Unfortunately, every now and again I do get voted for a Saturday shift at work, so I have to do it. You got to do what you got to do. And remember, guys, if you're renting, the Imperium is always here to join. I will be doing a live stream also on my channel in about 10-20 minutes. Be there. And Havish, popular request, they want the bugle.
Well, I'm going to tell the renters, this is the sound you don't want to hear being called when we're coming for you. And it goes along the lines of...
And thank you for coming, everybody. Enjoy that, and we will catch you next time.